Should we buy or sell Duolingo? So first off, read this disclaimer carefully. And do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So, Duolingo is under the Education 2.0 theme, and we can see that it's a language learning platform. 52% away from the 52-week low, but we are still 55% away from the highs. Here is their website, Duolingo, the free, fun, and effective way to learn a language. As when stuff is free, it usually is a way, to attract people to the platform. The problem for many of these companies is to commercialize the app. So yeah, let's go a bit further down. The world's number one way to learn a language. Effective and efficient, personalized learning, have fun, stay motivated. Yeah. I mean, it looks like, a very good platform. So let's just jump into the charts. So yeah, this is all the data we have, weekly data points. I do think we have some kind of time cycles here. Differed a bit, some smaller, some bigger. You could make a pretty strong case that we have something that looks a whole lot like a very substantial rounding bottom in development that is potentially rather bullish. There is a major moving average in play at the moment, and that is the purple 20-week moving average. It has been solid resistance in the recent past, very easy for the bears to short, but it's also been decent for the bulls recently as well. So you can look at these blue arrows. It is also buyable. So currently it is in the bull camp. Um, However, we are very tightly leaning on that moving average. So the bulls, they need to rally soon because they cannot afford this to become a resistance level. So here is the daily data points. In this case, the blue 100-day moving average is super key. Just look how easy it has been for the bears to just short that moving average. Short, short, make big money, short again, make money. But the bulls are very actively trying to make it a support level. So I do think that the bears feel very uneasy about that moving average. Simultaneously, the bulls really need to make it work. They cannot, in any way, shape, or form, afford that one to become resistance again, because we know what the bears will do in that context. Let's look at these other indicators here. Accumulation distribution is definitively corroborating the rally. Looking at the daily data points, yeah. So RSI is currently resting on this low level that has recently formed as support. It's been a buy zone for the bulls. So this is definitively a very interesting bullish setup, but it's a very sort of a bit too exciting bullish setup as well, because it really needs to work based on the data at hand. So I write 20 VMA support. I do give the bulls a 4 here on the technicals, but that 4 is completely contingent on support holding. If the bulls are not able to continue to support this super critical level, then the bears are very eager to get back to shorting this stock. Looking at the seasonality to the right, we do not have enough data to calculate. To the left, we do have 1 year of data, and August is a weak month. September and October is very strong. We have very little data here on seasonality, so I can only give a small weighting. So -1 here for the bears. Let's look at the fundamentals. So Sachs has a number 3 hold on the stock, F value score, but there is an A growth and B momentum. Industry ranks bottom 47%, technology services. I do think this more specifically is educational technology. Market cap is actually, substantial, 3.6 billion US dollars. Yeah, if we go here to insider activity, then we do see that the most recent move was accumulation, but for the same day we have a bunch of distribution, which means selling. So, and also if we go back here, we also see some accumulation, selling, buy, sell. So the insider, it would be better if the insiders were like systematically buying the stock. So yes, we don't have that bullish insider activity that we would like to see. Looking at consensus estimates, we do see that 10 analysts are covering the stock. Yeah, average price target is 21% above us. Highest is 47% above us, and the lowest is minus 8.45% below us. I give the bulls 3 on fundamentals. Some interesting stuff here, but also some bearish data. So it's a bit messy on the fundamentals here. Here are some correlations, and we get nothing on the weeklies. On the dailies, we have something very strange here with the S&P 500 that makes absolutely no sense at all. So let's do it like this. Do we get? So there we get some data. So 35% positive with the S&P 500 and 9% with the XLP, which is the consumer staples ETF, and the educational sector is considered as a consumer staple. XLK is the technology ETF, and we have 41% positive. Then we have 50% with the education ETF, the EDUT. So what happens with the EDUT is going to have the biggest effect here on this stock. So let's get the charts running. So in this case, this ETF, it is showing us a very interesting technical pattern that could become a pretty big deal going forward. We have okay, so that is the wrong, like that. We have a potentially very major rounding bottom forming, and that could be very beneficial for this sub-industry. The problem for the bulls is that we do have, a super important resistance level at the moment in the form of the purple 20-week moving average. It was a good support level, well, decent back here before it became resistance. So it definitively has legitimacy. So yeah, so this is a bit, but then again, when we go here to the daily data points, the 100-day moving average has now become a bit of a support level. So the bulls are making some moves here. If we go here, let's look at the dailies. Yeah, we do have some improvements here on RSI and the PPOs in the sense that we are forming a higher ceiling on those indicators. So definitively, some interesting action here. When we compare DUOL against the education ETF, you could make a case that maybe, just maybe, we could form what is called a cup and handle pattern. So this would sort of be the cup. This could become a handle, and that would be bullish for DUOL in this pair. Let's look a bit at the seasonality. Well, we don't get any seasonality data, frankly, but yeah, here we go. Let's compare the education ETF against the S&P 500. And here again, we do see that substantial potential rounding bottom in development. Just because we have a rounding bottom does not mean that it has, of course, to work out. There's been many rounding bottoms that have failed and gone lower and lower. If we go here and look at the seasonality, then we do get some data. Now, because the education ETF went live on the 13th of July of 2020, then we do not get enough data for the seasonality forecaster. I could of course alter the forecaster to sort of make it calculate like 1 year of seasonality and stuff like that. But the entire point of the seasonality tool is to sort of get a general idea of what to expect for the coming months. So the more data you have, the better. But yeah, I think I will give the relative performance score here. I think I will give it a healthy 5. This is rather interesting, especially those rounding bottoms. They could become very beneficial. So we do have a 2.8 in favor of the bulls. We are at 20 weekly moving average support, which is a very big deal support level. The bulls absolutely need to buy it. If we do not see this support hold, then this bullish thesis is pretty severely damaged. It is extremely important for support levels to hold because we have seen so many examples of them failing and full panic just being triggered. When I was making this video, the Box Light Corp ETF, no, stock, also came up on my radar. So this one is interesting, given that we do potentially have somewhat of a rounding bottom. Let me just draw it in. We could have something around here and here, but I looked a bit at some fundamentals and seasonality, and there are some issues here with this stock, but it's interesting from a purely technical perspective. Strategic education also popped up on my radar. The blue 100-week moving average. So let me just draw that one in with my handy tools. So you can see that here it was very buyable. It was a pretty good support level. It has also been a solid resistance level. The problem for the bulls is that we are currently testing that moving average as a resistance level. So I'm pretty sure that there were some bears who built some positions here. And the issue for the bears is that we do have a bit of a rounding bottom, and also you could make a case that we have something that is a bit inverse head and shoulder-ish, which also is a bullish pattern. On the topic of learning, here is Curiosity Stream. So this is an example of a rounding bottom that might fail. So let me just get a massive line. So this is a rounding bottom, but the problem is that if you look at the most recent weeks, the bears are back at it. They are doing some damage. When we go here to the daily data points, we see that we were making so much progress. So here's the green 50-day moving average. It is resistance. Then we break out above, but we are not able to stay above. And this is something that the bears noticed. So they push us below all the moving averages. Now all of a sudden, we have tons of moving average resistance above us. It is still possible to form a rounding bottom successfully, but we are now at the horizontal critical level. So let me just quickly just draw that in with a red arrow, frankly, because it is getting a bit dire for this stock. So this one here, this is critical. The bulls definitively need to come in here to buy, because if we do close below that line, then one thing is that the many bulls will panic, which obviously will add selling pressure to the stock. Beyond that, you will have bears who short, and who buy puts on Curiosity Stream to make money on the downside, and that also adds selling pressure. So it's a very important thing to just understand about technical analysis and other types of analysis, is that it's very self-reinforcing. So you had a bullish pattern that now can become rather bearish if especially this horizontal support breaks. That would be so bad. So we have done a deep dive on Duolingo, and also looked at some other securities in this space. So yeah, definitively a time to have tight stops, a market neutral portfolio, and to get VIP access, of course, on DiamondArm.com.